Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. A very warm welcome from London in the UK. Here is today's news about electric cars and the future of transport. My name is Martin Lee. This is your EV News Daily for Wednesday, 28th of March 2018. And one really big news story today. Well, kind of one and a half to do with Tesla as well, dominating all of the headlines. But firstly, a thank you to one of the podcast listeners from Iceland who sent a quick note about the new chargers in Iceland. A little geography lesson, by the way, if you need to know. If I were to drive north from here in the UK and get to Scotland and then get to the top of Scotland, and then if I swam for quite a bit, the next thing I would hit would be Iceland. Well, this is from one of our Icelandic listeners, Hilmar Sigurpalsson. I hope I've said your name correctly. Hilmar is waiting for his 40 kilowatt-hour Nissan LEAF due in May, and he let me know the new network of EV chargers in Iceland there means you're never more than 100 kilometres away from recharging your EV. They're on the ring road. The ring road literally goes around the outer edge of Iceland. It's the road which travels all around the edge, and it's great that whatever size of country, Iceland being about 350,000 people, EVs are spreading everywhere. Around 200 new Nissan LEAFs heading to Iceland to join the about 1,200 already on the roads there. Thank you so much, Hilmar, for your message on Twitter. Well, yesterday in New York, Waymo and Jaguar Land Rover announced a partnership which will see the Google-owned company purchase up to 20,000 I-Paces for self-driving transport. Jaguar call it the world's first premium self-driving electric vehicle. So let's deal with the elephant in the room. I think everyone presumed that title would go to the Model X, and it still might, by the way. After all, we've not actually seen one of these I-Paces drive itself across North America, as Elon promised we'd see a Tesla do by the end of 2017. Well, Jaguar say Waymo Jaguar's I-Paces, equipped with Waymo's self-driving technology, will start testing later this year. On-road testing, capturing real-world data, will allow Waymo and Jaguar Land Rover engineers to refine the technology and deliver optimum safety and reliability. Up to 20,000 I-Paces to be built in the first 2 years of production, available for the riders of Waymo's driverless service, serving a potential 1 million trips a day. Well, to date, Waymo's the only company with a fleet of fully self-driving cars with nobody in the front seat on public roads as well. Later this year, Waymo will launch the world's first self-driving transportation service, allowing members of the public to actually pay for a trip using Waymo's app to request the vehicle. Now, it did cross my mind, and I mean this respectfully and sincerely because someone lost their life, and that's far more important than corporate announcements. I do wonder whether this announcement today at any point was going to be shelved for at least a few weeks after the Uber crash where somebody sadly lost their life. Obviously, the announcement went ahead today with a big emphasis on safety. They didn't feel the general principle of electric driverless cars had to be justified, and you can understand that choice given Waymo's pretty excellent safety record, actually. Well, Waymo now have 6 cars models to choose from: a small car, the SUV, a Firefly prototype, the Chrysler Pacifica minivan that you may have seen on their YouTube videos driving itself around with no driver in the front, and also a semi-truck as well. Waymo has said they want to offer the right ride for the right purpose. I think it shows how far along Waymo and Google are with this whole thing, and how some people underestimated them because they've been quietly getting on with it. Whilst others are getting the tech right, Waymo are already onto the stage of saying, well, let's have a minivan for soccer trips, a semi-truck for commercial deliveries. They're at that stage already. Well, the Jaguar I-Pace will start in Phoenix this year, and Waymo said that they were attracted by the 90 kilowatt-hour battery, the mileage between charges, and the quick charging, where you can add 100 Ks in just 15 minutes. It's also now clear, after years of reports saying that Google and Apple would make their own car and take down the car industry. You've seen those headlines, right? With their credible super brains in Silicon Valley are going to make the next car. Well, they're not. They're focused on the hardware and the software, and then they let the expert automakers have been doing this a long time to deal with the job of putting cars together. Jaguar are doing just that with the Jaguar XJ Saloon, sort of the sedan-style electric vehicle. That's coming next year in electric form. All their models being electrified in the next 19 months by 2020. A great partnership. Incidentally, I read a press release yesterday from Jaguar saying that they're taking the I-Pace to the New York Auto Show with its 150 kilowatt charging, which was new news to me. I thought it was 100. The Jaguar press release today about the Waymo announcement says the I-Pace has 100 kilowatt charging. So which one is it? I'll find out. I might even just go onto the configurator and pretend I'm buying a Jaguar I-Pace just to see what the website says online. Must remember not to actually buy one. They're lovely. And how does all this affect the poster child of electric cars? Of course, I'm talking about Tesla. Well, it's been a pretty awful day. Following this news and other news as well, the stock went into free fall. Now, I'm not an investor in Tesla or any car stocks, although I have a pension invested, and that has stocks, some in the UK and some in America. So I guess maybe kind of in some way I must invest, I suppose, in tech stocks through my pension investments, but around 10% of the value was wiped off the company. I don't have any opinion whether this is a good or a bad thing. I've never owned Tesla stock. At the time of writing, which is currently 10 past 4 Eastern when we're recording this, the value is about 8.5% down on Tesla's stock price. It must be said, by the way, that the US today also opened an inquiry into the fatal crash in Mountain View, California, of the Tesla that, again, somebody sadly lost their life. Nvidia have suspended self-driving tests. Their shares went down 9% today as well. And I mention those financials, not because this is a financial podcast by any means, but because it will inevitably tomorrow cause negative stories not only about Tesla, but about electric cars as well. And it will be noticed by other car makers who are currently making big investments. I'm not suggesting that the Jaguar news caused this, or that it's solely because of the investigation that was announced into the crash that happened in California, which, by the way, when you look at the tweet by the NTSB in America, they said it's unclear if the automated control system was active at the time of the crash. So this isn't like a report has concluded blaming autopilot in the Tesla. And it caused a huge reaction in the share price. It's really unclear today exactly what caused that. Some of it could be the Waymo announcement with Jaguar I-Pace, and they could be realising that actually maybe Tesla isn't as far ahead as they presumed. Maybe that was built into the stock price, and this is a correction as people go, hang on, maybe Tesla are behind Waymo. I don't know. Well, that is the big news today with Jaguar Land Rover, Waymo, and inevitably the Tesla share price we had to mention, as it was 10% of the company value wiped off in an afternoon. Right, after all that excitement in some places and in some ways, some news in brief. China is working on a plan to standardise its EV sector, which they're heavily promoting to improve their own air quality and grab the opportunity of being a world leader in technology. They're focusing on one system of recharging, one system of battery design, and of measuring consumption. At present, the power base of car makers is North America and Germany, and China see the chance to move that power base of automaking into Beijing. Frankly, from observing all of this from the UK, the climate policies being taken by the USA, the behaviour of German car makers in relation to lying about diesel, I can see how Beijing is a bit of a land grab by them. Well, Nissan's starting their battery exchange program. Nissan say that Leaf owners in Japan can exchange their car's old batteries for refabricated ones under a new program starting in a couple of months' time. In May, owners of the Nissan LEAF can turn in their used batteries and get some refurbed ones. Nissan's going to be using some refurb facilities by 4R Energy, a company established through a joint venture to offer the program. As demand for EVs grow, the number of used batteries is increasing as well, and Nissan hopes that by refurbing those batteries, it can lower battery replacement costs and heighten the used car value of their Nissan LEAFs. It'll enhance electric car ownership, they say, and help promote their use, ultimately lowering CO2 emissions rather than making a whole new battery. If they can replace the odd faulty cell or pouch and get a new 24 kilowatt hour or 30 kilowatt hour or even 40 kilowatt hour battery pack as they start to wear and put them in used cars. That is good for recycling, good for the environment. Well, staying with Nissan, according to Mark over at Inside EVs, Nissan's and Ecosystem Japan want to install solar panels in the Kanto region of Japan for LEAF owners. They'll add the panels to the roof for free. You sign up for a 20-year contract to buy the electricity generated by them. At the end of that 20 years, the panels are yours. A nice bonus for LEAF owners. Well, after I told you yesterday about the workhorse electric vans, which are due to be unveiled today, 28th of March, in the Bay Area, now MAN Trucks are selling their full electric van called the MAN ETGE. Again, same specs, 100 miles or 160 Ks, designed for urban routes where air quality is worse from diesel delivery vans, 36 kilowatt hour battery, and of course, for those many cities which are moving towards no diesel zones completely, this will be perfect. MAN says that 70% of light commercial vehicles do less than 100 kilometres or 62 miles per day, based on their pretty extensive knowledge of how their products are used. Well, two more stories, and Reuters report that Hyundai Motor Union, the chief of that, warned its workers are going to face similar crises faced by the General Motors Union in South Korea as key markets slide, and adding that electric cars were evil and will destroy jobs. Now, my personal comment, I'm willing to chalk that one down to translation. Not saying Reuters did a bad job in the translation. I don't believe a union boss would call the technology which is going to employ a bunch of people in the future evil. Not in the way that you and I think of the word evil. I don't think he meant that EVs are evil. I don't think so. By the way, South Korean unions are pretty strong. 500 employees from Hyundai get a free week in Europe every single year. Hyundai will support sporting events for employees that want to get fit, and they also are seeking a 7.4% wage increase this year alone. Last year was a 5% increase. Nice if you can get it. Right, final story. Well, after 5 years on sale, the BMW i3 just sold its 10,000th car here in the UK with the latest 33 kilowatt hour battery. Although, of course, BMW like to sell their i3s on amp hours, but let's, for the sake of it, call it a kilowatt hour. 33 kilowatt hour battery will get you 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds in a great little car, the i3. Plus the new i3S, which goes on sale very soon. Same battery, but the car is lower, the car is wider, and it's a bit faster as well. 6.9 seconds, 0 to 60. You lose a bit of range for that, but congratulations, BMW, for your 10,000th model or car sold here in the UK. Well, I'd love to spread the word about electric cars. If you can, share this with somebody who might be interested. Listen to every previous episode of the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, TuneIn, and the blog at evnewsdaily.com. Well, you can leave a comment if you want. Have I got something massively wrong on the podcast today? I know a lot of Tesla fans might disagree with what I said about Tesla earlier. Maybe they are ahead of Waymo in self-driving. Agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments section of the blog at evnewsdaily.com or on YouTube or any of the places that you get the podcast, or just on Twitter at evnewsdaily. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.